But why would the employee want the copy?
Because FOMO. Everybody got stamp contract and I also want.
Makes it more Instagrammable, is it?
Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Bebel HR, hosted by
Victor?
and AuntyHR. Today we're going to talk about a very hung-up subject.
Okay.
Hung-up for the past few months already. Because everybody is so confused.
Must be the stamping?
Yes. But before that, we want to talk about what have you been busy with?
I've been busy with, apart from listening to your Blackpink concert, trying to get tickets. I haven't been busy with much actually, just work and work and work.
Huh? What project are you working on?
Project, how to share with you, a lot of NDA sign off
Oh,
already.
But you rode a Harley to Kuantan, right?
Yes.
The most recent one.
Yes.
Your
So
arm big kau naik motosikal ke Kuantan, okay? From where?
So I was in Johor. We rode.
From Johor?
Yeah. Me and my wife, we rode the bike to Kuantan. We had a dispute to resolve there, so I took it as a holiday also, Hari Raya Haji break.
You and your wife,
Yeah. Then we...
So cool, must share some pictures, right?
Then we had one day in Terengganu. Actually, I've been to Terengganu, but I haven't been to parts of Terengganu, and this was my first time, so it was beautiful.
So do people stare you all when you whole couple vroom vroom vroom?
No lah, nobody stare. Quite a normal thing, but we enjoy. It's just that the weather has been tremendously hot this last couple of days.
East Coast kan. That's why face also red now.
What have you been up to?
I have been busy with my Blackpink concert, for 3 days already, okay? I tried to buy the Blackpink concert tickets in Thailand. Cannot get! Today was day 3, also cannot get. I was like, how? Never mind, tomorrow I try again.
Still available or not?
I don't know leh. I think they allocate certain numbers every day.
Okay.
Tomorrow got last day. I think tomorrow last day. So tomorrow I 蹦去死過 another day.
So if cannot get, then what's the alternative plan?
Then tak ada jodoh, then it's okay lah. We have to move on.
Yeah, then have to just stay back at home and kerja tengok YouTube.
Or any of you want to sell me your Blackpink concert tickets, I'm open, okay? I need two. Anyway, okay, coming back. The contract stamping drama. How did it all started? How did the panic started?
Okay, a lot has been talked about this. Probably don't want to focus too much about it, but long story short, nothing new. This is not a new act or this is not a new legislation.
I know.
It all started from the Stamp Duty Audit Framework,
Yes.
which came into force, which was implemented 1st January 2025. So when they started going to employers, they realized that employers haven't been stamping their employment contracts.
That's right.
That's how the drama started.
You know how it started? Then one fella got audited, went to Facebook, posted a comment and asked around this. Then a lot of HR experts go and answer. Then came to one comment on that said that if we don't stamp the contract, we will gonna fine 10,000 ringgit. And you know lah, the HR community, right? We are so serious with our paperwork. So when we hear things like that, we panic, okay? We don't stamp our contract, we gonna fine 10,000 ringgit.
Betul ke the 10,000?
Actually, it's not. So when I look at the Stamp Duty Audit Framework, it says that if you do not cooperate with IRB, Inland Revenue Board, to give them the documents that they want to audit, they will fine you up to 10,000 ringgit.
Okay.
The penalty is not 10,000. For late stamping, it's only 100 per contract.
Yes.
So that is the whole thing lah. But how the whole thing started. So, on 6th June, because all this thing drama kan, after the Facebook drama, then the news outlet also covered about this news. Then the lagi drama. So everybody sudah like panic, okay? So on 6th June, LHDN issued a press release statement.
Yep.
So that one, they come out, they explain what is moving forward, how it should be done. So they actually give exemptions.
Yep, which for me also subject to a lot of interpretation.
Well, it's only 2 pages after all that.
Yeah. So still raise a lot of questions.
Yes, so today we are trying to tackle as many as we can to our point of view.
Yep.
From what we understood from the press release. So number one, it states that if your contract has been executed prior to 2025, they will close one eye and say no need to stamp. That is what they are saying. Okay?
Chup. They use the word exempted from stamp duty.
Yeah, which close one eye don't want to stamp lah.
So there's a lot of interpretation right now that says you still need to stamp, but you don't have to pay.
Okay.
Right. So the exemption here.
I tenganga sekejap. So what? I put it on the portal, they will stamp it for free, is it?
Okay, so there are two schools of thoughts now. The first school of thought is exemption means tak payah stamp terus. You don't have to do anything.
Yes.
Right? The second school of thought is you have to stamp, but you don't have to pay, because the exemption here is the exemption from stamp duty, not the exemption from the act of stamping.
Have you tried stamping it for free?
So if you go on the portal right now and you put these contracts that are pre-2025, sama saja you kena the penalty.
Okay.
Right? So apparently what they're saying is you need to file for an appeal so that it can be waived off from your fees. I don't know how it works. Honestly, my initial stand was don't have to stamp. That was my initial stand.
Yes.
Right? So when we released this, a lot of people just use the word exempted, but when my company wrote an article, we terus went with don't need to stamp. And a lot of people came back to us and say, what do you mean don't need to stamp? Because a lot of people say you need to stamp, you just don't have to pay. So right now we are still awaiting further clarification from LHDN whether we need to stamp. For me, it doesn't make sense to stamp. Let me explain to you why. Yeah. The same words, exempted from stamp duty, is also used for contracts that are valued below 300 ringgit.
Yes.
So those below 300 ringgit are exempted from stamp duty. Are you suggesting that we need to stamp those contracts as well?
Correct. You see lah, all these people.
So that's why I say still have some room for
I
interpretation.
think people are just overthinking and look, the government is very busy, okay? They tell you don't need to stamp or stamp for free or whatever, right? I cannot imagine knowing that they have already exempt this for duty, yet they insist you to bring in a contract like that to audit. Huh? Tak ada kerja ke? Audit for what? Macam tu, might as well you audit things that matters, correct? You want to inspect, you want people to respect what you inspect, you also need to inspect things that matter. Like, contohnya, they say that if your contract is executed in the year of 2025,
Yeah, that's second category.
yes, then you have to bring it to go stamping. However, the late stamping fee will be waived. So for all contracts executed in the year 2025, is flat fee at 10 ringgit.
Provided you stamp them before 31st December
Correct.
2025.
Correct.
Which in other words, it means that you have a grace period between now to 31st December to get your act together lah. Right?
You're talking about that, I have one follower come and tell me, okay, what Victor was talking about, this caveat of 300 ringgit in the Stamp Duty Act, right? It says that if your salary exceeds 300 ringgit, then you will be exempted from being stamped. Like honestly, this 300 ringgit was never updated since 1949.
Yeah.
Gaji siapa sekarang gaji siapa 300 ringgit? Even our minimum wage started at 900 ringgit, okay?
Correct.
And then I think the last person who have 300 salary was car salesman. 15 years ago. So that's why people would never take these things seriously, because the act also look outdated itself. So that is one. So she's saying she is hoping that the government will announce again what is the new threshold.
Okay.
Because she has time until 31st December, Then I was just thinking, wow, if everybody think like her, then in December, the LHDN may jam, Because if government never release any statement about the new threshold, right, everybody will kelam kabut and go do stamping lah, kan?
Okay, so a bit of background here. When all the employers' organization were making a lot of noise, and this was probably, say, a month and a half, 2 months ago,
Yes.
one hot item that was being debated was actually the threshold.
Of course.
Yeah, so what the threshold would be, nobody knows. In my opinion, to change the threshold requires a lengthy process, I feel.
Yes.
So
Correct.
I wouldn't be banking on that. Between
it
now
will
and
not
December.
happen this year for sure lah.
Yeah.
Even when we wanted to change our maternity leave that time to 90 days, it took years, okay?
Yeah, correct.
Like the SLO also took 20 years.
Honestly, I wouldn't be banking on that.
That's like how it took Liverpool how long to win the cup, kan?
I would say that you have been given enough time between now and 31st December 2025
Yes.
to understand the system, register, to have all the administrative hassle put together.
Yes, that is correct.
But I
That is
wouldn't be
correct.
hoping on a change for this. I think right now it's pretty cast in stone. This is the reality.
Yes.
You need to stamp. You have until 31st December.
And then
So,
after that, there'll be no ducking anymore.
correct.
You have to stamp. If you're late, you have to pay late stamping fee. So what is late stamping fee? From the day you execute, it means the day you sign, not when the contract is effective. So from the day you sign the contract to the day you bring it to LHDN to stamp, have to be within 30 days. Then there will be no penalty. If it's above 30 days, not less than 3 months, then it's 50 ringgit.
Per contract.
Per contract. And if it's above 3 months, then it will be 100 ringgit per contract. So it's not like anybody is going to jail. It's just that you will kena fine only, that's it. You do it now correctly, then it's 10 ringgit all the way. If you want to try your luck, because some people also say, takkan lah, I so lucky kan kena audit.
I probably wouldn't play with fire.
Yeah, you never know. Then I have another problem. In the Employment Act, it also says that an oral agreement is a valid contract. Macam mana tu? How you stamp an oral agreement?
Wow, now you're testing my Employment Act punya memory. If I'm not wrong, Section 10 requires the contract for a period more than 1 month to be in writing.
No, it says that you need to have termination clause. But there is Employment Regulations 1957 that say it needs an Employment Act. And it needs to be a proper contract. It needs to be documented. But you see, even our laws left don't talk to right, you know.
Yeah.
So they all bercangga-cangga kat situ.
But that doesn't mean that because of the stamping, then everybody stay away from executing a contract,
That is
right?
correct lah. That is correct.
Let's talk about the standard norm. Standard norm is contracts are there, contracts are in place, needs to be stamped. For now, for the benefit of the listeners, I sum it up. 3 categories. Number 1 is pre-2025. The position is 50-50 now. Okay? But hang on in there, don't stamp first, in my opinion. Don't stamp first because...
And jam the thing on December, is it?
Because 31st December, remember we were talking about whether the exemption is exemption from paying or exemption from stamping. So I would hold on to that first. Pre-2025.
Until they come out with another statement.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Then you have second category, which is 2025. Go ahead. Stamp the contracts. Pay the 10 ringgit per contract.
So the question is the previous one lah. The one executed before 2025.
Yep. And then
that's fair,
third category is 2026, which means you have to stamp, and if you're late, you pay the penalties.
Next one, I want to explain to you all, because after this, you guys going to ask me a lot of things, right? Like, let's say contract renewal, need to stamp or not? If there's a promotion letter, need to stamp or not? If there is an addendum to the contract, need to stamp or not? So first of all, we need to understand what is written in the Stamping Act 1949. So what it says that first schedule item 4, it states, agreement made under hand only and not otherwise specially charged with any duty, whether the same is only evidence of a contract on the parties from its being a written instrument. All lawyer talk. Sila translate.
As you were reading it sounded...
Siapa is going to understand this? Okay, we start with the first phrase. Agreement made under hand only, which means it's a written agreement. Right? Made under hand. And not otherwise specially charged with any duty, which is not mentioned in the rest of the Act. Whether the same is only evidence of a contract on the parties from its being a written instrument. So the function of the contract is a written evidence of a business transaction between both parties, right?
Correct. I also read it as such where it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to have the word employment contract or whatever contract. Anything that signifies a contract would also fall within the meaning of
written instrument.
Correct.
Written instrument, okay? Then it says that exemptions for service or personal employment where the wages do not exceed 300 ringgit per month and any agreement between master and mariners of any vessel or boat for wages. So for this type of agreement is flat rate 10 ringgit. Okay, so when we look at this, we look at the phrase that only evidence of a contract. So when it comes to addendum to the contract, like contohnya somebody's salary change, somebody's position change, the job scope change, they transfer from one department to another, is it still considered as the same contract?
For me, yes, I think it's still within the same contract. So I would look at it as changes to terms and conditions do not amount to a fresh new contract.
Yes.
That's
I
how
also
I
agree.
that's how I would read it. However, you mentioned the word transfer. That's interesting. If I'm transferring you to a different department,
But same company,
but same company, then there is no fresh new contract.
there's no fresh contract.
But if I'm transferring you to another entity
Another entity, that's right.
and I'm giving you a new contract under the new entity, then that new contract requires stamping.
Yes, and it's same to contract renewals.
Correct. Fixed term contracts, if the contract is expired and you issue a new renewal of
yes.
contract, to me that requires stamping.
Because it's a fresh new contract.
Correct,
Right?
correct. That's how I'm interpreting it. Any changes, I change working hours, do I need to stamp? No need. I give promotion, I give bonus, do I need to stamp? My opinion, no need. Because
the
it doesn't...
original sudah stamp.
Correct. And it doesn't amount to a new contract.
A new contract.
Yeah.
But how about extension of contract?
Extension of
Like let's say it's expired already this month, right? Then I extend another 3 months.
because the first one expired.
Because
Right.
the first one expired,
Yeah.
so it's no
So
longer
the
valid.
extension is also considered a new contract. Yes.
So in conclusion, so for renewals, even a one pager also need. But however, if it's a change of terms and condition, as long as the original one is stamped,
Yep.
is considered okay lah.
Correct.
Kan? Okay.
One interesting point to note would be, how about termination of employment? If you issue a letter to terminate an employee, right?
That's not a new contract.
Correct.
Right?
That's just an act of ending the contract,
Yes,
right?
correct.
But there are some forms of termination like mutual separation. You sign a contract,
That is different, It's a different agreement, right?
correct? Or a VSS scheme. You sign
Yes.
a new, or you voluntarily accept,
Yes,
and then, For me, there are court decision that says that a VSS is a separate contract from the original contract, So for me, a VSS agreement,
agree with
MSS
federal
agreement,
court.
yeah. Thank you for agreeing. So for me, MSS VSS agreements needs to be stamped.
I also agree because for me, it's a total separate agreement. It's
Yep.
different from your employment contract.
Correct. It's sort of like an agreement to supersede this agreement.
Correct. Because we are separating.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Like divorce lah kan. Your marriage certificate is one certificate ma. The divorce agreement is a separate agreement ma.
Really, I've never been through that before lah.
Anyways, and then I also want to highlight what we are talking about are all contract of service. If you guys hire freelancer, contract for service is different. Contract for service, you guys are technically business to business transaction, not considered as an employment agreement. So for such agreement, the stamp duty is ad valorem, which means it's calculated as a percentage of the contract value.
Yeah.
Typically is 0.1% instead of a flat fee.
And when you talk about contract value, you take it by the year, not by the month.
Correct, because
Yeah.
the contract value you see, so we give a illustration example. So let's say your service fee is 10,000 per month, and you sign up a 2 years contract. So your total contract value would be 240,000. So 0.1% of it is 240 gitu. So it's different, okay? So it's not a flat fee when it comes to contract for service. Okay, now we're going to do some questions from the audience. Soalan hangat. Who shall bear the stamping cost?
Okay. Employers lah. Takkan the employees want to bear the stamping
This
cost?
is written in the law. So according to the Stamping Act 1945, third schedule, it says that the person by whom the instrument is first executed. Okay, lawyer translate.
First party to the agreement, lah, which means in this case is the employer.
The person who draft the agreement,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Whoever draft the agreement should have the responsibility to stamp it.
I also got a few questions whether we can deduct the employee's salary for stamping or deduct half for stamping. The answer is no, lah. It's also, if you read this hand in hand with Section 24,
It cannot, but Section 24 also says that if you have consent, you can.
not everything, lah.
Of course, by default, it should be the employer lah. But
Correct.
you know, guy nowadays, employer guy very scary, you know. So they say you want the job or not. So you need to sign a consent that you will bear the stamping fee. If someone who is desperate, honestly, they will take it. Or people also scared what, people scared you already signed with stamp, then you don't show up for work. So I can imagine people can also say that we will reimburse you during your first month's salary.
Yeah, I see that happening.
That one is not so bad. I honestly think it's fair. If you don't plan to break your promise, then why are you so scared to stamp the agreement?
So that employer surely kena a few times already, lah. Stamp all the agreement, then the employees never come. Right?
Yes. I always say this, bond will not turn to jahat overnight one. They turn jahat because they have very bad experience in the past.
Yeah.
So that is a question. Okay, next question. When should the agreement be stamped? Or we covered that one already. Ideally is 30 days from the date of execution. Maybe you want to explain what is date of execution.
The date of execution, date of signing of the agreement. So normally you will have...
When we sign, there's a date
There's
there,
a date
right?
there, right? So the date of execution, but not the commencement. So you can sign on, let's say, 1st January, but the commencement is 1st February. So you take it from the 1st of January. One point to note is, actually, you can even stamp the contract before execution. So you can send it for stamping first and then have it executed by the other party later. That is also permitted.
Yes,
but
that is correct.
I don't think people would want to do that. That wouldn't be the preferred mode of doing it. Ideally, you will want both parties to sign and then have it sent for stamping.
Yes.
But now I'm also thinking about how this would apply to those people in the recruitment team, right?
Or I have a better solution. They sign it, after they start work, then you stamp. Oh, cannot, depending where you sign it, right?
Because if you do that, then you might go past the 30 days.
Yeah, you might go past the 30 days.
So this would soon become like an internal process, like there is a monthly cut-off date.
Yes, that's
Right?
correct.
Yeah, so you must tie this to your monthly, maybe your cut-off for overtime or your cut-off for whatever. And that is the date where you know, okay, all contracts between this date to this date, I have to sign for stamping. If you don't have the cut-off date and you wait for execution, you wait for onboarding, susah,
Well,
you might be penalized.
exceed
Yeah.
the 30 days and kena the 50 ringgit.
Correct.
All right. Okay, next question. Internship agreement needs to be stamped, ma.
What do you think?
And any agreement also need to stamp lah. Your part-timer ka, internship ka, CFS ka, COS ka. As long as it's a written instrument, it needs to be stamped.
And the value of 300 ringgit needs to be considered also lah. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
But nowadays got intern less than 300 meh. I think people don't want to intern at your place if it's 300.
Yeah.
The market rate right now is between 800 is considered less. The standard is between 1,000 to 1,002.
Correct.
If it's high, it's 1,005.
Yeah, but there are also some internship where you sign the contract with the school or the college or the uni where they will supply X number of interns to you as part of this program. And then you pay them an allowance. That contract is you and the school, not you and the individual.
You and the school, then it's considered as a written instrument also, ma.
Correct.
So actually also need to
Yeah,
sign.
but that's not employment already lah.
But it's not employment. So takkanlah ada ad valorem. Then what's the value of the contract then? Because they provide for free.
Correct. So in my opinion, those contracts, if they're providing for free, you don't have to stamp it because that's exempted under the 300. Then you give an allowance to the interns without having an agreement. Tak payah stamp lah. Unless you give a separate agreement to the interns. Then I think that separate agreement, if it's more than 300 ringgit a month.
Complicated.
Yeah.
Just stamp je lah, nyama.
Yeah.
It's only 10 ringgit. Okay, next. Does the employer get a copy?
Copy of
Stamp agreement.
employer.
Employee, sorry. Does the employee gets a copy?
There is a certificate which I think can be duplicated. So right now,
Copy lah kan?
if you do the stamping, right? I think those days when we talk about stamping, we go to the LHDN office, we stamp the agreement, right?
No, I so old lah. It used to be a proper stamp, have to lick on it, you know. That's how old I was.
Okay.
Then from there only it became a chop. But
Okay.
nowadays it's digital.
Now this is digital. So if you go online, you upload through the system. I think the first is you upload, and then you will get a sort of like an assessment of this is how much you need to pay.
Yes.
Then you make the payment. After you make the payment, then the digital cert will be ready for you
yes.
to download. So that digital cert is proof of stamping,
Stamping, yes.
which can be shared with the employees.
Which I think okay lah, but we don't stamp like 2 copies like that lah. We normally just stamp 1 copy.
Yeah, but why would the employee want the copy?
Because FOMO, everybody got stamp contract and I also want.
Makes it more Instagrammable, is it? Wow,
Not
my contract
Instagrammable
finally got
In
stamped.
case have to sue the boss in court, have to be stamped also ma. But anyways, but even on business agreements, we also do the same. After we stamp it, then we will send a copy to the client. But sometimes we stamp 2 copies one, which you have to pay 2 times.
Okay.
Kan?
Okay. Stamp 2 copies have to pay 2 times, but now you can stamp 1 copy and request for a copy. It's also 10 ringgit.
Oh, do we pay 2 times? We don't, I think.
You can stamp and request for a copy, but you have to pay 2 kali lah. 10 ringgit, 10 ringgit. Kalau tak salah. So right now we are still exploring the system. My team, right, we're actually doing this exploration on the bulk upload.
Oh.
Right, because ideally you don't want to do 1 by 1 ma.
Yes.
You have 100 contracts, 200 contracts you want to upload sekaligus. But what we've also realized is the bulk upload requires programming. It's not so easy. It's not like there is
we HR, okay? We bukan IT. Ni program
Correct,
apa
correct.
ni?
So we've been trying that out and we finally succeeded last night. So all the previous contracts that we have done is all manual uploads 1 by 1. So for anybody that is still struggling, just let us know, drop a comment. We'll sort of try to guide you. I don't know how to do it. I
Or
need to
go
speak to my IT fellas.
e2consulting.com.
Yeah, .com.my. Last night we have successfully done our first batch upload.
And it's successful lah.
Yeah, so
Your
the same-
batch is how many first? Don't say 3 copy. It's not a batch.
No, we tried with 20 copies. For
20? That's a lot.
We tried with 20 copies because soon we will be targeting, the masses. That means, we've got clients who say, Victor, can you help us? We want to do 200 at a time or 300 at a time. So before telling people that, yes, we can help you to do that, I want to make sure that we get everything in order first. Of course, we can do the 1 by 1 upload, but that will take a lot of our time administratively.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Then we have to hire another clerk pula just to stamp
Yeah.
contract.
So far, the experience seems simple, apart from the initial stages where you need to do that bit of programming.
Okay.
Right? So if you are into bulk upload, you need to understand the first part requires programming. Then basically you need the PDF copy.
Don't say programming lah, setup. Good.
Okay, setup. Okay.
So scary.
But it's the funny words on, words that you and me won't understand.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Then we need an Excel where you need to put in all the required information.
The
And
CSV
then you need to,
file lah.
they require it in XML format, which makes it a little bit more complicated.
It's a fixed format with fixed headers.
Correct. That gets uploaded together with your contract.
Okay, I
then
understand that.
the assessment will come out. This is how much you have to pay. Make the payments. Get your cert.
Actually, HR community will be able to understand. It's similar with your bank uploads. Every bank has their fixed format, kan? So LHDN's case, they have also their fixed format lah. Macam tu. Okay. Now, last question. So this question, I don't know how to answer. Okay. How about employees who has resigned or did not join the company?
Okay.
I don't know how to answer this one.
This one, there's still a contract, what? Right? To me, even though the contract is not active at the moment, it doesn't mean you don't have to stamp.
Yeah, but because we have time until 31st December 2025,
Correct.
you see.
Correct.
We are talking about people who have joined after January this year. But they resign already before year end.
Correct. So let's say they join January, they resign in March, and then this announcement baru keluar in June.
Yes,
So
correct.
question is, do we still stamp the contract? For me, my interpretation is yes, because there's still a valid contract there.
Yes, that's right.
But practical wise, do you need to do that? I mean, her interpretation is when they come and audit,
They don't audit.
They don't know that person is there. What?
My ajaran sesat is they will know, but I don't think they will go up to that kind of extent.
Yeah. But if you ask me, literal interpretation, strictly speaking,
Legally speaking, of course, yes.
correct.
Government wants all your money, yes. But if you say like, if they did not join the company, for me, no need lah. The person is not even an active employee in the beginning.
Yeah, I think that one's interesting because you won't have payroll records, you won't have EPA records, so just koyak the contract lah.
The person doesn't even exist. So that one is a no-brainer. But the question would be, do you want to do the right thing? Even people who has left the organization, you still get it stamped, huh? But from my experience, they only audit active employees.
Your own risk lah.
At your own
Ajaran
risk.
sesat at your own risk.
Again, it's only 10 ringgit. So instead of think 3, think 4, if you're telling me, auntie, but we have a lot of resignees, it's not only 10 ringgit. Then I will tell you you have a bigger problem, Why so many people leave your company? Anyway, that's all about the episode today. So if you guys have more questions about employment contract stamping, you can always reach out to E2 Consulting at e2consulting.com.my.
Yes.
Gitu. We see you next time. Bye.
Bye.